So just so everybody is aware, if you do miss anything, we can send out the recording afterwards. And of course, you've got my email address on the screen now. You should all have my email address through the confirmation email as well. So without further ado, let's get on. So the first thing I want to take you over, you should all be able to see my screen share, hopefully. If someone could confirm in the chat, that'd be great. But go over the 2017 product portfolio. These are all the products that we've had long-standing for quite some time now. I just want to do a brief rundown before we get into all of the new stuff. So going from the bottom, email protection. Okay, perfect. Everyone can see. Okay, so yeah, email protection at the bottom here. This is our cloud-based anti-spam solution with email continuity. So you change your MX records, you point the mail to go to our cloud platform. The cloud platform filters out all of the email for you and sending only the good email down to your mail server or onto your mail service provider. It does work with Office 365. It's a question that we get quite often. One of the great things about it is the email continuity. You get a rolling 15-day backup of all email, and that is segregated into individual user mailboxes on the email protection platform itself. What that means is should there be any problems with your mail service provider or your mail server, all of the users have their own web mail that they can log into to continue to work, send, receive emails, and so forth. You can also use it as a smart host to protect your own public IP address as well. The Fusion product isn't really a product at all. The Fusion product's more of a sales package. It comprises of systems management and endpoint protection plus, literally just those two products under a single price point and a single license agreement. The systems management product is our RMM, or remote monitoring and management, remote management and monitoring, whichever way you look at it. There is an awful lot that you can do with systems management. It is an incredibly comprehensive solution. Fantastic for anybody who's struggling to keep a grasp on a large number of network devices. You can manage not only computers, but mobile devices and any network device that supports SNMP as well. With systems management, you've got hardware and software auditing and asset management. You can report and filter based on all of the software versions and types of software installed, as well as all the hardware to a very granular degree. You also have monitoring capabilities from simple things such as online and offline status, all the way down to the creation or the failure to create of a specific Windows Event Viewer log. So that incredibly powerful. Of course, patch management, very often the bane of a lot of IT departments. The ability to manage your patches over the internet from a cloud console in systems management is incredibly useful and powerful. You can schedule your policies to deploy the patches to dispersed computers over the internet. Software deployment, and in fact any script that you can think of. We support a number of languages including Bash, PowerShell, as well as scripts for Mac computers as well. You can deploy any script essentially over the internet to individual computer or en masse. And like I said, there's a large amount of reporting. Another cool thing within systems management is the capability to have unattended access using VNC or remote desktop. That uses a tunnel server in our hosting center, and that keeps it secure. And essentially that gives you unattended access to all the machines. Now that's non-intrusive, so that's what makes it really awesome. The ability to access the machine whilst the user's still working on the machine. So you can connect to the machine in the background, have access to command shell, have access to map network drives, upload and download files to and from the machine, stop and start services, edit the registry. Systems management is comprehensive. So the rest of the four products, Endpoint Protection Plus, Endpoint Protection, Adaptive Defense 360, and Adaptive Defense, these are our anti-malware solutions, our anti-malware offerings. There's a distinct difference between the Adaptive Defense product range and the Endpoint Protection product range. Given the different color there sort of indicates that. Endpoint protection is traditional antivirus, meaning it's signature file based detection. The adaptive defense product range includes something called EDR. EDR is endpoint detection and response. It's not a new market within the security space, but it's something that's becoming more and more prevalent for medium-sized and small businesses. It's been around for quite some time, but as a separate sector. Panda was the first antivirus company to adopt any EDR technology into an endpoint solution and comply it with an antivirus solution as well. So I'm going to take you through a little breakdown of those 4 products because it can get a little confusing exactly what they include. So on the left here, we've got the Endpoint Protection Plus. Endpoint Protection Plus is our more premium antivirus solution, so you get some additional features in there. Obviously, the antivirus itself that scans the file system. The firewall, that's a stateful packet firewall that resides on the endpoints. It's got intrusion prevention and obviously the ability to configure rules. Device control, that's our USB peripheral blocking. So you can literally lock down the USB ports for different types of devices, whether it's USB external storage or webcams or whatever it might be. Exchange servers, this is anti-spam and antivirus at the Exchange level. So if you have any Exchange servers out there, then that comes bundled in with the Endpoint Protection Plus. Web access control, this is probably my favorite value add feature for the Endpoint Protection Plus. This is URL filtering policies that you define as the administrators. You define them in the Cloud Console, but the policy itself resides on the endpoints. So if you're dealing with laptops, this is incredibly useful because the filtering is not network dependent, meaning if you tether it to your mobile device or any other network, the policy that you've applied still actually takes hold. And of course, the antivirus in these solutions it is cross-platform. So we're OS X, Macintosh, Windows Server, Linux, and Android. The Android version also includes an anti-theft feature, meaning if anyone tries to log into the mobile device more than 3 times, it takes a silent forward-facing photograph and the GPS coordinates on a Google map and emails it to you, which is a really, really nifty feature. On the right-hand side is the Adaptive Defense 360. And as you can see, it's pretty much identical, apart from the fact that it's got the advanced protection. The advanced protection is what we've named our EDR solution. So advanced protection, although it's only one thing in the list, is actually a very comprehensive advanced piece of technology. It monitors every single executable program on the endpoints, so everything that executes is classified to ensure that only trusted programs can execute. I will be doing more advanced webinars on the individual products in future, so keep an eye out for that. If anybody has any questions around these, then you can email me as well. Okay, so breakdown of the Endpoint Protection Plus products. Obviously, the basic version omits some of the additional features, and obviously that will be reflected in the price. So we don't have the Exchange servers, web access control, or anti-theft on Android in our basic Endpoint Protection product, but the rest of the features are included. And the Adaptive Defense can be sold independently, so you can have that run alongside a third-party antivirus if you're locked in or the customer's locked in with a third-party antivirus. You can still benefit from the EDR advanced protection that we offer. Developments for 2018. So I want to go over the interesting stuff, all of the new stuff that's happening in Panda. It's changing quite fast, which is why we wanted to do this webinar, just to keep everyone up to speed. We have the Ether platform. So the Ether platform isn't really a product, it's more of an infrastructure that we'll be hosting our solutions on, our anti-malware solutions. The Ether platform, I will show you shortly. It comes with a lot of enhancements and a lot of new features, and they all come with no additional cost. So it's really exciting news from our side. The Panda Advanced Reporting Tool. So the advanced reporting tool is advanced reporting available for some time now. actually. It's been around for a few months, but it's going to be a big focus for us moving forward in 2018. It provides real-time forensic data about the endpoints, and it is a bolt-on for adaptive defense. So we'll go into that and I'll give you some more detailed information. Data control, similarly, our Panda data control is the ability to discover, audit, and monitor personally identifiable information, which demonstrates GDPR compliance. So as you can see, that is a very pertinent topic at the moment, and we'll go over that more specifically in a moment. So the Ether platform. What is Ether? Ether is a new Panda platform built from the ground up. Ether is not a solution, but rather a new hosting platform. It is a completely separate infrastructure. So we've literally started from scratch. So what everyone's hosted on at the moment, our existing cloud console and infrastructure, is a completely separate hosting platform to the Ether platform. So how does this affect you guys? Well, like I said, there's going to be a lot of feature enhancements that are included. When we built the new platform from scratch, we had the ability to redesign the cloud console. So the cloud console will look completely different. And in addition to that, the back end, we've been able to include new features. So this obviously means that there's going to have to be a migration. The migration will be predominantly silent, meaning there shouldn't be too much of a need for you guys to be involved. There should be a limited engagement required from you guys. We're going to transfer all of the configuration and settings in the cloud console and to the new platform from the old platform automatically, and the endpoints will be automatically upgraded for you. So on all Windows devices, at the very least, you won't need to do any reinstallation. It's yet to be confirmed for Android, Mac, and Linux devices. There may be reinstallations required there, but that's yet to be determined. Also, we're going to make the migration optional. So for a little while at least, obviously, eventually everyone has to move over to the Ether platform. That's what we developed it for. But initially, the migrations will be something that you opt in for, meaning that we can make sure it all happens at a convenient time for you. It also means that we spread the migration across all of our resellers and clients so that it's not all happening at once for everyone. So let's have a look at what this looks like. I'll take you through some of the feature enhancements. So this is the redesigned cloud console. You can see that it includes an awful lot of the same information. We feel it looks a lot more modern, a lot more clean. We've been working on this for quite some time, so hopefully you guys like it. With regards to the new feature enhancements, the deployment tool in this version is integrated into the cloud console, so it's no longer a software that you install separately. In fact, you just install one endpoint, and then you configure that endpoint to be a discovery device, and then you can simply install the product through the cloud console to all those devices that it discovers, which is pretty neat. Also, we've included some additional enhancements with regards to hardware and software information. So you actually get some hardware and software information in the cloud console here. We can see the last 24-hour activity of the CPU, as well as the specification. You can do the same for the memory, and you can do a similar thing for the disk space. The software data includes all the software installed. This works for mobile devices as well, the Android devices. And you can see the software versions, publisher, name of the software. You can also see Microsoft patches, which is really useful. With all this information, we've now got the new filters down the left-hand side. As you can see, we can filter based off of lots of information about the endpoints, including about the software that's installed. Yes, you can filter for the patches as well, so you could filter out machines that contain a particular patch or machines that are missing a particular patch. We've also improved the settings. So whereby before we had a one-to-one relationship with the groups, the settings now have a 5-to-1 relationship. So there's 5 different types of settings profiles to choose from. This one at the bottom here is optional. You may not get that one unless you've got the Panda data control module as well, but you get either 4 or 5-to-1 relationship between the settings. The settings are also granular in that you can go into an individual machine and you can make exceptions for an individual machine. So you can change the profile for a specific machine within a group. No longer are you forced to have all of the machines within a group inherit the settings profiles applied to them. We've also got some enhancements with the users. So as before, you can create multiple users within the console. However, now you can create more granular user roles. Before, it was one of 4 standard roles. Now you can see that the options are far, far more granular than they ever have been before. You also have the ability to monitor the activity. So here we can see actions performed by users that are logged in, and we can see sessions established when users log in. So this is essentially when people log in and which IP addresses they log in from, and this is the activity that they perform whilst they're logged in. The other feature enhancements to mention whilst we're looking at this is that we now have our own proprietary antivirus for Mac and Linux. Historically, we have provided Mac and Linux antivirus, but that's been through partnerships with other companies that developed the software. Now it's all proprietary in our own solution. The benefits of this mean that we can now, for the first time, offer not only real-time protection with AV detection, but also URL filtering policies, the web access control. And that's on Mac and Linux. And the final and probably the most exciting enhancement for this product is we now have real-time configuration updates. So any changes that you make in the Cloud Console to the settings are applied instantaneously to all the endpoints. We hold an open socket from our endpoint agent to the Cloud Console to achieve this. And this is something that we're really, really proud of. It's probably the only disadvantage to going to the cloud, and we've overcome that. So that's a real big deal for us. So the end result then is that we've got a new platform, and it's going to be migrating soon. We've got a few questions adding up, so I'm probably just going to leave the questions to the end and go through them then. So the Panda Advanced Reporting Tool, let's have a look at that. The Panda Advanced Reporting Tool. What is the Panda Advanced Reporting Tool? The Advanced Reporting Tool leverages the power of AD or AD360 to automate storage and correlation of a forensic information on the endpoints. So since Panda Adaptive Defense and Panda Adaptive Defense 360 are true EDR solutions, they leverage forensic level data and they use that to protect the endpoints in those products. But not all of that data is visible within the advanced reporting, within the Adaptive Defense and Adaptive Defense 360 consoles. So what we've got here is the Advanced Reporting Tool, which shows you all of the data in its entirety. That includes things such as processes executed, registry edits, bandwidth consumption, and sockets opened by all of the programs on all of the endpoints. Also, vulnerable applications that are installed versus vulnerable applications that have been executed. There's an awful lot of information stored. So how is this beneficial? Okay, so this information enables security intelligence and allows organizations to pinpoint attacks and unusual behaviors. It helps detect internal misuse of the corporate systems and networks and facilitates management, upkeep, and project work across the network. So let's have a look at some actual use cases. Can you answer the following questions? Which users are using undesirable software, legacy systems, or consuming concurrent licenses across your network? The data that we collect allows you to answer these questions. It means you can police the network for misuse and monitor the license requirements. We had a fairly substantial customer. They essentially guessed how many concurrent licenses they needed. After using Panda Advanced Reporting Tool, they discovered that they'd overshot it by quite some margin, and therefore were able to save themselves a fairly hefty amount of money. How much bandwidth does a specific program use individually or collectively, and which IP addresses is it communicating with? So part of the information that we collect is all of the sockets that a program connects to, so all the IP addresses, the public IP addresses it communicates with, as well as the bandwidth that it consumes, both download and upload, and that's on a process by process level, meaning we can give it to you as granular as you want. You can have it within any given time period, and you can have that for just one specific instance of the process on one machine, or you can have it across the entire estate of computers. As you can see here, monitor bandwidth consumption of programs and thereby by unpermitted use, whether it be by users or autonomous actions of programs installed. So you might be able to pick up people who are using things such as Spotify from this information, or any other unauthorized use of the internet. What data have programs accessed on the endpoints? So perhaps you have a malicious process execute and you want to know what data it may have touched, or maybe your concern is the data legitimate programs are accessing. So we can see all of the data, that's documents, XLS, anything stored on the file system that is being accessed by a program. And that could be due to a user initiating the action, or it could be an automatic process. So let's have a quick look in the console. As you can see, I access the Panda Advanced Reporting Tool directly from the Ether platform, the Adaptive Defense Ether platform. The Panda Advanced Reporting Tool is a bolt-on product, meaning that it comes at an additional cost to Adaptive Defense or Adaptive Defense 360, and you do require Adaptive Defense or Adaptive Defense 360 in order for it to work. It will not work with endpoint protection products. I'm just going to take the first example that we had. So we're going to look at the dashboard and the Voronoi diagram that's going to show us all of the executions across the entire network of all of the programs. So here we're specifying a time frame for 24 hours. And this Voronoi diagram is showing us all of the data results for this specific query. So we've queried the database with this Voronoi diagram for all executed applications within this time frame. And by just simply hovering over these different segments of the diagram, you can get some useful insights. So for example, there's been 7,974 executions of programs digitally signed by Microsoft, and that makes up 60.28% of all executions across the entire network. Now that's a fairly obvious example, but you can see there's all sorts of different programs in here as well. The cool thing about this is that we can actually reorder the data so that we can re-render the Voronoi diagram to show us different information. So now I've moved the executable to the top. The executable names are going to show at the very top level, and we can see that Chrome is one of the most used programs, if not the most used program, at 21.96% of the executions. We can drill down into that through the different layers over here. So we can see it's digitally signed by Google. We can see that it's been executed on these machines, and we can see that it resides in this specific file path. And we can come back out of that as well. Now this data is the result of a query of the full database. We can download the data to a CSV, or we can go to the search in its raw form. And this is now taking us into the raw database. We can access the raw data, but this is the results of the query, and you can build out queries in SQL. It is a SQL database. So here's the SQL query in its raw form. We could also use the query builder at the top here to step backwards through the different functions within the query, and you can get quite advanced with all of this data in here as well. You can create tables and all different sorts of diagrams and graphs. So it's a really, really powerful tool. So the big result really for the Panda Advanced Reporting tool is to maximize the visibility into everything that occurs, flag security anomalies in real time, and flag employee misuse of IT resources in real time. It's worth noting at this point that you can actually get email alerts from the Panda Advanced Reporting tool, which will notify you of certain events occurring in the network as well. So the last topic that I wanted to discuss with you guys today was the Panda data control module, which is again another bolt-on for the Adaptive Defense and Adaptive Defense 360 solutions. This one, unlike the advanced reporting tool, which is just a generalized forensic data, this one is squarely targeted at helping companies become compliant with GDPR. So what is data control? It provides raw data, dashboards, and charts for organizations to discover personal data stored on their networks and how it's being used. You can see a little screenshot there. It's squarely targeted at GDPR compliance, and like I said, it's a bolt-on product for Adaptive Defense and Adaptive Defense 360. So why data control? It gives you the ability to assess the risk of processing personal information and the measures to implement. This obviously helps you create company policies when dealing with personal information, and is going to help your data controller or whoever's responsible for that to keep on top of things. It helps you demonstrate compliance with relevant data protection regulations and analyze causes of any personal data breach in order to adjust corporate policies. So can you currently answer the following questions? Where is the personal information stored on your network? And if so, what type of information is it? So it's very difficult for anyone to keep on, on top of exactly where all the personal information is across the network. Any user that works with personal information of customers can easily create, document, and store all of that personal information on their computer. So creating policies is one thing, but making sure that they're adhered to is definitely another thing. Data control identifies all endpoints storing personally identifiable information, its location, and quantities of instances of each type of information. So what we have here is the ability to tell you exactly how many email addresses exist within a given document, Excel spreadsheet, etc. Who is accessing, modifying, or copying this personal information. So not only can we tell you exactly where the data is and what type of data it is, but we can also tell you how users are using it. We can tell you whether a user created the document that contains the personal information, or whether they merely modified it, or whether they merely opened it. We can even tell you whether they copied or pasted it. In the event of malware, has the malware accessed any personal information? So it's not just users, but programs that may access, modify, or steal personal information. I've said malware there, but it could just as easily be something like a Dropbox client that synchronizes documents containing personal data. And this is something incredibly difficult for us to keep on top of without tools such as Panda Data Control. So let's have a quick look in the console for this one then. It is hosted in the same console, although it's a very separate product, and it comes at a separate price point. And we'll take the first set of questions. So here we've got a general view query, a Veroni diagram of its own. Here we can see the answer to probably the first question that springs to mind, and that is, where is the personal information stored? So straight off the bat, these are the 4 computers in this example console that have been found to be storing personal information in the given time frame that we've defined in the top left. We can also see which users are working with that data. So that probably answers our second question: which users need to be trained on how to handle personal information? Furthermore, we can actually drill down into those users and see exactly what type of actions they take. So this particular user has been working exclusively on Windows Laptop 3, and then we can drill down and we can actually see the different operations that this user's taken against those documents that contain personal information. So it would appear that they are a fair creator of these documents. It may be the case that there's already documents that exist that they should be using to store personal information. Maybe they don't need to be creating so many new documents. We can also see that they've done copy and paste operations as well. So it'd be interesting to know, exactly where those copy and paste operations occur, what data it is that they're copying and pasting, and where they're copy and pasting it to. And those are all things that we can find out through further investigation of the raw data set. Show you very quickly the raw data for this solution. This is what the raw data looks like in its entirety. So very comprehensive, and you can see that it includes things such as email count, IP count, passport, driving license, things of that nature. So the big result for Panda Data Control is to discover and audit personal information, monitor the use of personal information, demonstrate compliance with applicable regulations, and you can again get email alerts to potential misuse of breach of personal information. So that pretty much concludes the webinar for today. If you haven't answered the poll, please do, because it helps us find out if this is useful for you guys. I'm going to run through the questions now. We've got a few questions. So Christopher, will web access control ever be extended to Android? There's nothing in the pipeline at the moment. There is obviously quite a big project that we've got on our hands to migrate everyone from the existing platform to the Ether platform. There's a lot of development that's going to be happening in the Ether platform. There's an awful lot of new features coming to the Ether platform, which will be very gratefully received, I expect. As far as Android, there isn't a great deal in the pipeline for Android. So in the foreseeable future, no, I'm afraid not, Chris. Rob, is the Ether platform exclusive to AD and AD360? That's a good question. It is exclusive to our anti-malware solutions. So it will include Endpoint and Endpoint Protection Plus as well, and it will be cross-platform. There is going to be the potential to mix and match products at some point throughout this year. At the moment, it's still going to be individual consoles for individual products, but there probably is going to come a time where you can have an individual console that will host all four variants of our malware solution, meaning that you don't have to go into separate consoles to change all of the settings. Rob, does the data control work on items like Netgear NAS boxes, OneDrive, and SharePoint? Yes, it does. So anything that the operating system can view as a file system will be scanned. So that's mapped network drives, external storage, anything that's accessible from the endpoint itself will be scanned and therefore be included in the data control data. Reese, can we get trials of data control? I see it as a good opportunity from a GDPR compliance perspective, but if we can run the product for a period as a trial and show the customer what it can do for them, it'd be a no-brainer. Yeah, Reese, no problem. Shoot me an email. I can get it set up for you in minutes, or alternatively contact your account manager if you know who that is. Yeah, no worries. It's easy. We can set you up, no trouble. Alistair, does the advanced reporting tool and data control require another agent, or is it all collated through AD360? It actually leverages the data that the capabilities of AD360. So there's no requirements to install additional agents. With the advanced reporting tool and data control, no, sorry, just data control. With the Panda data control, There is the requirement to install a Microsoft utility, which gives Panda permission to view the content of Microsoft formats, but that's it. There isn't any additional software from Panda to install. The advanced reporting tool, you just apply licenses and that's it. You start collating data. Panda Data Control, you apply licenses, it'll start collecting data of the things it can with the omission of Microsoft documents until you install the Microsoft plugin. Rob, with anti-theft on Android, would it be possible to easily identify the endpoint unit? I assume you mean, would it be possible to identify which mobile device it is that's been stolen? I'm not sure I understand that question. But the anti-theft will identify, or will obviously tell you which device it is that's triggered the alert. So when it sends through the email, you get not only a mugshot of whoever's tried to log into the device, but you also get the GPS coordinates and the device name. It can be quite amusing when people just forget their password. You get a nice mugshot of one of your work colleagues or something. But in jokes aside, in the real world, it works incredibly effectively. I'm speaking personally from one of my colleagues in the office. We've actually used that feature, so it works very well. Okay, I think I've run through all the questions now. So if anybody has any more questions, now's the time to add them on. And if you haven't answered the poll already, please do. Okay, Rob, the naming of devices isn't clear, so it doesn't help us identify the device. Android. Okay, yes. Okay, I see your point. That one, to be honest, Rob, I'll have to have a look at it and see what the best way to tackle that is. So I'll email you after the session once I've had a look in a console and reviewed it. Any more questions? We'll hang on just for another minute just to see. Are there training resources for the Panda Advanced Reporting Tool and Panda Data Control? Training resources, yeah, I will be holding more detailed webinars. So that's part of the idea of these webinars that we're running, to make sure that we get you guys up to speed with everything that's happening. So that's part of it. We can also provide you with data sheets, and there are advanced guides that we can send you, Alistair. So I don't know if you've already got access to the consoles. That's also something else we can provide you should you want. We can give you trials, no problem at all. So yeah, as far as training is concerned, these webinars, coupled with the advanced administration guides and the ability to access the consoles through trials, comprises of the training. Rob, you want a quick reminder of the difference between Panda Adaptive Defense and Panda Adaptive Defense 360? Yes, okay, no problem. So Panda Adaptive Defense is just the endpoint detection and response technology in isolation. Endpoint detection and response is just a market sector of the security industry that it's become necessary for Panda to tap into that, and some other endpoint vendors as well. It's just owing to the nature of the malware that's out there these days, it's becoming more and more advanced. There are becoming more and more infection vectors that circumvent the traditional techniques that an antivirus has, which is why you see malware infections that occur on endpoints that have traditional antivirus solutions. It's not that the antivirus is rubbish, well, not necessarily, it's, definitely not if it's Panda, but it's simply the fact that the antivirus requires some knowledge about the malware before it detects it, whereas an endpoint detection and response solution is designed to monitor forensic data in real time and pick up unknown attacks. That's the key difference. So a traditional antivirus, being our endpoint protection products, is fantastic at preventing what we already know is malicious. And then endpoint detection, our AD product range, is basically fantastic at stopping unknown malware variants. The AD is that technology in isolation without an antivirus bundled in, and you can run adaptive defense, advanced protection alongside third-party antivirus vendors. So if you've got someone else who's got Symantec or ESET or any of the third-party traditional vendors, then you can also run the adaptive defense alongside that, and it'll be completely fine. Adaptive Defense 360 is both the Adaptive Defense and Endpoint Protection Plus in essence. So it includes all of the feature sets from Endpoint Protection Plus, a traditional antivirus, and endpoint detection and response. So I hope that makes more sense. Christopher, will Panda make even just a single NFR AD360 advanced reporting data control available to partners, or do we still need to buy licenses to learn and understand them? Chris, we'll give you, speak to your account manager if you know who it is, otherwise email me. We can give you extended trials. In some instances, we can give you discounts, so you get heavily discounted licenses for Adaptive Defense 360. Because Adaptive Defense 360 is seen as our flagship premium products, and they're all hot off the press with regards to Panda Advanced Reporting and Panda Data Control, then free NFRs are pretty hard to come by. They're pretty rare. Obviously, we have to get all these things approved by head office. But speak to your account manager, Christopher, and he'll let you know what he can do on that front. At the very least, he'll be able to get you some pretty hefty discounts and an extended trial for you to review it yourself. Okay. Any more questions? Okay, I think that's pretty much it. If any of you guys have anything you think of after the fact, then you've got my email address. Just ping me an email. Thank you very much all for attending, and keep an eye out for the next invitation for the future webinars. Thank you very much.